Hello, and thank you for being with us. We begin with South Africa, where xenophobia-linked violence has overshadowed the country's diplomatic outreach. Pretoria was snubbed by other nations during its Africa Day celebrations in Moruleng. Ambassadors and high commissioners of several African nations skipped Pretoria's flagship event. The coordinated move reportedly marked a silent but powerful protest against South Africa. It also signaled deep dissatisfaction over the country's handling of rising anti-immigrant sentiment. This is suggested in reports. However, South Africa has downplayed the snub. Government officials framed the ongoing friction as an isolated matter rather than a diplomatic failure. South Africa has been witnessing months of escalating hostilities targeting foreign nationals. It has also witnessed massive xenophobic marches. Now, its organizers reportedly claim that they are opposing an influx of undocumented migrants. They say that it affects their jobs and strains public services. This has sparked concerns across the continent. And the growing row subsequently led to this mass boycott. It is not a sudden escalation. It is a response to several failed calls for interventions, as the governments across the continent have repeatedly urged Pretoria to swing into action. Nigeria and Ghana even summoned the South African envoys, demanding an explanation for the attacks on foreign nationals and calling for stronger protection of their diaspora communities. Nigerian and Ghanaian citizens have also sought voluntary repatriation to their home countries amid the growing anti-immigrant violence in South Africa.
As a country, we said we are not satisfied with just mere statement. We need actions from the South African government. So fine, they've given us the assurances, but for this time around, we want tangible proofs that you have taken A, B, C, D actions to ensure and guarantee the safety of Nigerians living in South Africa. South Africa has a lot of business interests in Nigeria.
Now, by refusing to attend the state-sponsored celebration, the diplomatic community has triggered a debate over South Africa's growing xenophobia issue at a continental level. The coordinated snub marks a significant low point in South Africa's international relations. It has turned a day meant to celebrate continental unity into a sharp reminder of regional divisions. The move also signals Africa's changing power dynamic, as governments across Africa are not mincing their words anymore. There are no subtle hints to the South African government to crack a whip. Just a clear message calling for strict action against the growing anti-immigrant sentiment. Now, for more on this, we have with us Dr. Margaret Monyani, who is the Executive Director of the Olam Africa Research Institute, joining us live from Johannesburg, South Africa. Welcome to First Post Africa, Doctor.
Thank you so much, Cringe.
Now, what message does this diplomatic boycott by African ambassadors send about South Africa's standing on the continent? And just how serious is this damage to Pretoria's relations with fellow African nations?
Okay, so, South Africa has always presented itself as the, forerunner when it comes to issues of human rights. If you have followed South African history on matters continental, it has always presented itself as the big brother. If you look at the history around even formation of AU, the formation of AU from OAU, it's actually South Africa was on the forefront, even providing secretariat, which is based here in Midrand. So we see what this boycott is trying to say. This is no longer a local issue, because we just thought there are a few groups here who are going on the streets, doing a few things here and there. But it's no longer a national issue, it's a continental issue. And that boycott is a very strong message to say we are watching. As Africa, we are watching. Because South Africa has been, and it's known, it has a lot of interest on the continent in terms of business. So many big African businesses are on the continent, starting with Standard Bank, MTN, all those. They are all over the continent. So South Africa benefits from other African countries more than even other countries benefit from South Africa. So they're saying, we are watching, we are seeing what is happening, and we are not satisfied with what is happening, because so far the government hasn't come out clearly to take any tangible steps to stop what is happening.
Yes. Right, and despite the repeated promises by the South African government to address this xenophobic violence, the attacks and hostility towards foreign nationals, in your view, why have diplomatic interventions failed? And what more should the authorities be doing to protect migrants living in South Africa?
Because what we are having in South Africa is not a migration crisis. Is a governance crisis. The governance structures in South Africa are so weak, because that's why even right now, even if we say, let's remove all illegal migrants from South Africa, the situation or the circumstances that are creating this illegality, if we don't deal with that, then there will be more people still coming in the future. So it's more of a South African issue than a continental issue. South Africa should look within. Where should they tighten the migration laws, if there is any, and if there are migration laws in place? Like, how do people become illegal? Of course, some people come without documents, and there is a percentage to that. But there are also people who become illegal by the mere fact that they have applied for these documents and they have never received feedback for years on end. So that is a South African issue. They should work. We know the issues of backlog at Home Affairs. So that is an internal issue that South Africa should deal with. And so even if the international community comes and say, please treat our migrants well, we do not want them being targeted in the streets, the most important question is that, are they getting documents on time? Yes. Then the question you will ask yourself, they say they're targeting illegal migrants who are criminals, but we haven't seen any criminal being brought forward. We have seen whatever they call illegal migrants who are operating spaza shops. That means these are people who are fending for themselves. They're not criminals. We haven't seen criminals. I'm not saying they are not criminals, but where are they? Can we be shown these are 50, 60, 70 criminals we were able to arrest?
Right. Now, we are now seeing some foreign nationals, particularly from countries like Nigeria and Ghana, considering voluntary repatriation out of fear for their safety. What are the broader social, economic, and the diplomatic consequences if skilled African migrants begin to leave South Africa?
First of all, the issue of deportation or repatriation is a necessary step in the meantime, because if someone feels threatened, but it's not transformational. It will not deal with the issues that I have mentioned previously that South Africa is facing, the weak governance, all those issues. So again, what it is doing, it is actually even normalizing the fact that migrants should leave. And that is not a solution to what South Africans are facing right now. So, of course, at a diplomatic level, if governments get to a point where they're sending chartered planes, it's a message to the South African government that you are failing the end of your bargain. Remember, South Africa has also diplomats in other countries. It does. So it's an exchange. At the international level, it's an ecosystem. You help me, I help you. Your people are in my country, because at a state level, the state has the responsibility to take care of all the people in their country, including migrants. They should guarantee their safety. So when you don't do that at a diplomatic level, you are failing the end of your bargain. And so the mere fact that these countries are even considering repatriation should make South Africa rethink itself.
Right. Thank you for being with us on First Post Africa.
Thank you so much.
First Post reports from the world's second largest continent. Hello, I'm Alison Lagrange. A very warm welcome from Durban, South Africa. We get you the news and the newsmakers from Africa. From elections to climate change to innovations and opportunities. As the world's attention shifts, we report from Africa, the heart of the global South. Join me every weekday live on First Post.